Hello, good morning, everyone, and good afternoon for the one who are located in Asia. Thanks a lot for joining this this morning, this December talk organized by VIA ID and the Mobility Club. We are very honored to have today joining Antoine, Chief Commercial Officer from GOJEK, Dirk-Jan, co-founder of DriveLa, and Kenji, Chief Strategy Officer of CARRO. All those companies have something in common. They are leaders in their own industry subsector in the mobility segment in ASEAN. And today, the idea is to discuss how you guys adapt to obviously to the pandemic and how did you react. Just before starting, I will quickly introduce myself. I'm Paul, based in Singapore. I'm venture partner for VID. VID is a corporate VC of the group Mobivia, European leader in the car maintenance sector. So VID has been investing in more than 23, I think, startup all around the world. And actually, we are quite honored to be a shareholder of GOJEK, actually. Thanks again, Antoine. and we are investing in new mobility in general, with connecting anything which is related, like sustainable city, intra-city, and daily mobility. Regarding the Mobility Club is organizing every during the month few conferences and webinars. We are a private club focusing on mobility and live since about 3 years, and joined by more than 20 big corporates coming from the mobility or interested by this sector. So today the conference will go for about 45 minutes. I'm gonna quickly give an overview to everyone about basically the overall macro and some of the insight of the mobility sector in Southeast Asia before obviously giving and asking some question to the panelists. Thanks again, guys, for joining. So here we go. Wait a second, sorry. Okay, so just to give you some information, obviously, I'm here since 10 years, but some of you guys might not be aware of the key macros of Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia is roughly the same population of Europe, a bit more, and is comprised of in total 10 countries. But today, I think the core focus will be on 6 main countries, including obviously Indonesia, which represent more than half of the population of Southeast Asia. So the characteristic of Southeast Asia is that the population is very young compared to Europe. Average median age is 30 years old versus Europe, which is 42. So it gives a huge opportunity for the digital economy, and this has been shown in the growth of internet user toward the past 5 years, where we saw the population growing from 260 million to 400 million in 2020. Just from last year, it has been a jump of more than 10%. So it's quite huge. So it's offering obviously a lot of opportunities for technology companies and digital player to grab some market share. So as any other places in the world, obviously the COVID has been very impactful for the economies, and that's basically what we're going to try to give you as a feedback today is that the economies have been impacted, the mobility segment obviously has been impacted, as well as the travel, but there is a huge land of opportunities. Many countries took this as opportunities for opening their markets. It's mostly the case of Indonesia, which is reducing its barrier for foreign investment, and also Vietnam, which really took the opportunity to try to grab some market share from China. But what is quite interesting is the impact on the digital footprint of the population in Southeast Asia, where people basically spent obviously more time on internet, online, as you saw, from about 4 hours to almost 5 hours a day. And what is quite critical, what Google and Temasek share lately, last month, is that basically 1/3 of the population which are using digital service are new, which obviously give substantial opportunities for players. So it's not a surprise. We're talking about essential services like e-commerce, food delivery services, edtech, healthcare, and obviously any services empowering work from home. So regarding the size of the internet economy in Southeast Asia, so we are talking about 100 billion GMV worth of volume in 2020. It's still growing compared to 2019. It's a 5% growth. But what is quite striking is the growth that we are expecting during the coming 5 years. We do expect this market to triple, growing at about 25% yearly, which is immense, obviously. So a lot of opportunities to grab in those markets. I will quickly finish with the mobility sector, obviously, which is where on what we're going to be focusing today. Basically, and this obviously Antoine will share more, but the transport player have grabbed the opportunity of increasing their food delivery services, which has been growing in Southeast Asia from 5 billion to 6 billion, covering, I would say, the decrease of the ride hailing, and the growth for the coming 5 years is also quite immense, growing 30% yearly for the coming five years. We have also been impacted. I mean, some countries have been more impacted than others. It's the case of Philippines, which they suffered a full lockdown for the past 6 months now. So their urban mobility has been impacted by more than 80%, which is immense. But obviously recovering, but still around -30 compared to January. And I will finish just with the venture capital landscape in Southeast Asia. I would summarize, like, the unicorns has been taking a big chunk of the funding for the past years. But what is quite interesting is that the other startup portion is increasing a lot. And for the first semester of 2020, the funding for other companies than unicorns has been at 53% compared to 47% for unicorn, which is a big difference compared to last year. It's quite interesting that shows that many other players than the unicorn are also grabbing the opportunity of getting funding, and I think that's pretty appealing. The volume of deals have been increasing compared to to last year, which is also quite interesting. Yeah, I think it's. I hope this helped you to give you a short overview on Southeast Asia, and so I will gonna now let the three panelists quickly introduce themselves, maybe, and I will jump on some question for you. Maybe Antoine, you can start.
Sure, Antoine de Carbonnel, GOJEK Chief Commercial Officer. I've been at GOJEK for almost 5 years, previously in fintech, and before that, professional services, private equity, and consulting.
Maybe Kenji?
Yeah, hi guys, thank you for the time today. My name is Kenji. I'm a Chief Strategy Officer of CARRO, used car marketplace in Southeast Asia. My background is also in private equity, middle stream infrastructure, and I hope we can have a good chat today.
Thank you.
And my name is Dirk-Jan. I am a co-founder of a company called Drivela. It's a car sharing company in Singapore, and before I've worked in the automotive space in commercial and marketing roles in Asia for the last 10 years, and now running this business.
Great, guys. Thanks a lot again, and it's really a pleasure to have you on board today, and we hope everybody will enjoy this session. Please do not hesitate to list your question on the right of your screen. I will keep about 10 to 15 minutes for question Q&A. After some question, I will myself ask to them. Thanks again, guys. It's a great pleasure because I think between the three of you, we cover a huge chunk of the mobility sector in Southeast Asia. Maybe I'm gonna start with a quite candid question. Is obviously how the COVID, how the pandemic has affected your businesses, and how did you all reacted briefly, and we might go into the detail a bit later. Maybe Antoine, we can start with you.
Sure, I think I think as all mobility businesses, we were hit very severely at the beginning. Transport cratered. It was a very tough couple months. And it was a slight, I would say, went down quite a. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I think it was quite a big V at the beginning, and then they recovered quite quickly. What's interesting about COVID is that transport has recovered regularly, month by month, as GOJEK came out with things that made the customers feel more comfortable. Right? Things such as shields between the drivers and the consumers. How do you deliver? How do you show cleanliness, right? So certify that drivers are clean, have been sanitized a little bit. Food has done extremely well, recovered quite properly, and we see that as obviously people staying at home, but also new users that are using apps and technology to be able to do. I would say that the things that have surprised us the most have been our logistics businesses. Because e-commerce, as you saw from Paul's slides, e-commerce has really exploded, and so that's positively impacted our logistics, last mile logistics businesses. So I would finish by saying that this COVID situation has obliged businesses like ours to think about how do you grow sustainably, just growing, and also how do you think about pain points of your different ecosystems and develop new solutions very quickly to be able to palliate. An example is, when you're thinking about a merchant, not only about an app to allow consumers to order from that merchant, it's also about enabling their WhatsApp channels and other channels. And how do you create a user experience that is outside the app only, but also in through other channels. So we developed a WhatsApp keyboard with automatic payments and logistics, so that merchants can use their WhatsApp business channels and then still help them in that.
Antoine, thanks a lot. Can you maybe turn off your camera because the connection is a bit lagging on your side in Indonesia? Maybe it might help because it was a bit lagging. Thanks a lot, Antoine. That's very interesting. Thanks a lot, Antoine. How about the used car sector, guys? I'm addressing to Kenji and CARRO.
Yeah, so definitely, as Antoine mentioned, also for the used car retail, the impact was huge in the Corona itself. However, in case of used car, because people's demand or mentality, instead of using public transportation and other ways of transportation, has shifted a bit more into private transportation. The demand has been growing explosively. And for example, this September, we had like a 500% growth year to year compared to last year. It means that the demand for people to buy used car has increased a lot. And in the other hand, like new car retail has been also still damaged and the recovery is still slower. I think because the economy has not been catching up with the demand itself. Everybody's still worried about the economy. And on the other hand, they want a private vehicle. So a lot of people are are buying used cars. A report from McKinsey was issued last week. Globally itself, a lot of people, including the Zillennials that didn't have interest to buy cars before, have been increasing a lot. In the analysis itself, they were saying that moreover, like 20 to 30% of the Zillennials also are considering to buy a car, especially used car, within these 2-3 months to travel like within their country, or to transport to their office or such kind of stuff. So yeah, COVID going back, it has damaged a lot, but it's recovering slightly. And for the used car market, I think it's growing in a good mode.
Great, and I think it's a great jump for Dirk-Jan, because also you're actually focusing on the car sector. Here it's car sharing. How about you, Dirk?
Yeah, for us, actually, we are in a different space. We are a 1.5-year-old company, so we were pretty small just before COVID hit. For us, we didn't see any negative impact really of COVID. Actually, the contrary, and that is because one thing that Kenji just mentioned is there is a shift going because of COVID, from public transport to private transport. People that can afford a car, they would buy a car. And people that cannot afford a car, or maybe don't want to buy a car, they maybe want to just rent a car or get a car on demand. That is what we offer, and we offer that, let's say, like Airbnb does that in a way, that you can rent it from private people. And that has gone up very much. So what we've seen in the last, since the start of the year, that we've grown 10 times from then. So every month was growth. So we did not see a month of decline. And of course, that's also dependent on the base where you're at, of course. But we've always seen growth. And the couple of things that we did to of course, people are more conscious about safety and health. So a few things that are very important are making sure that cars are sanitized, but also keyless access to cars. So when we can offer, we already had keyless access to cars, but we really drove even more so, because some people, they just prefer to choose a car where they don't have to meet a car owner, but just can pick up the car using their mobile phone and just drive off. So for us, it has been actually, we could say, a tailwind for the business.
Okay, thank you, Dirk-Jan. I maybe gonna get into more a bit of a deep dive into each of your models, guys, and obviously each of you are not at the same level of development. I mean, Antoine and GOJEK, obviously you are even a decacorn in Southeast Asia, one of the three. So you have an ecosystem which is quite fantastic. For me personally, I'm using your ecosystem. But please give us a bit more information on how your SuperApp ecosystem has been benefiting from this situation, and how it's going to benefit in the future. What's for you is going to be the new trends and the new service that you foresee in the mobility space, and how you're going to answer them.
Thank you. I'll leave the video on for now. Let me know if it starts lagging again.
Okay. Sounds good.
Fundamentally, the key is really about being able to provide solutions to the pain points of the consumers, and not just one pain point, right? And when we were doing analysis on our consumers and looking at how to make our user base more sustainable, more retained, right? And retention, we basically realized that the jump from users using 2 services to 3 services, the jump in retention rates and the jump in frequency of usage of the app was massive. And so the reason is that the users basically have a go-to place to go to. So I think that a SuperApp doesn't have to be 22 services like GOJEK has. A SuperApp is services that result in a clear pain point for users, and enough so that you get them to use multiple services. The second thing about GOJEK is that GOJEK is not just one SuperApp today. GOJEK is multiple SuperApps. We have the consumer SuperApp, which has the 22 services I was talking about, but it's also a SuperApp for our drivers. It's a SuperApp for our merchants. So we have 3 SuperApps, and then we have the streaming app, right? Go Play. Now, being able to have these different ecosystems to play with is something that is helping GOJEK a lot with its sustainable growth, and continues to enable us to acquire new users and to retain them. Right? Being able to have the communication and seamlessness between a driver app and a consumer app, for instance, is an example of that. Let me give you an illustration. When a user in GoFood makes an order, the order simultaneously goes to the merchant app and to the driver app. The merchant is able to prepare the meal immediately, and by the time the driver arrives at the restaurant, the food is ready. There's a handshake. There's a handshake between the driver and the restaurant, and the driver immediately is able to go and deliver the food. So we've specialized what the consumer app does, what the driver app does, and what the merchant app does. The final thing that I would say is that the payment system, GoPay and Midtrans, all of our different payment companies, is infrastructure to be able to provide an additional layer of frictionless transactions to our users. When the user is buying food, the money flows are seamless also because of this infrastructure. The GOJEK is keeping their commission, the driver is getting their commission, the merchant is getting the rest of the fund, all of that basically in a real-time basis that each of them can see in their app, which provides a tremendous amount of comfort and retention on not only the consumer side, but also on the driver and the merchant side. So that's a little bit of an answer. I would say that what's very also important is that you have to really think about what is the population that you're serving and what is the pain point that you're trying to solve, and being fanatical about that, and really thinking with a tremendous amount of depth about what are the friction points and how do you reduce the friction points. That's something that it has been a key contributing factor of having our core base of customers remain very loyal.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I would add that historically you have been always focusing on offering the best service to your drivers. We're talking about millions of them compared to maybe other ride-hailing platforms, which were more maybe focusing on the consumer side. And we've seen that GOJEK has been adding a lot of services to, including the pinpoint SME. We are not talking about SME size of France or Europe. We're meaning about mom and pop shops, and you've been able to give them as much service as possible to basically go digital.
Yes. So our drivers, our motorcycle drivers, can make money in a lot of different ways, right? It's the same driver base that delivers people documents, food, medicine, same people that top up your wallet, cash out your wallet, can pay your bills. We have a checking system now where brands can go and ask their drivers to go check the prices and the shelf, where they are on the shelf of different stores. So we continuously think about our drivers. We segment our drivers so that we send the orders to the drivers that prefer certain types of orders. You know, an illustration is a driver that hates people, will give them more food. You know, that's an illustration. And on the merchant side, as you said, you know, we now provide them the ability to order their produce directly to their house without leaving their house or restaurant. They have promo tools, they have advertising tools. They've got, you know, so we continuously think about what are the different pain points of each of our core ecosystems and how are we providing them more and more value.
Thank you, Antoine. Very, very interesting. I gonna jump to Kenji just I think, Kenji, what is quite interesting, and I guess you are also as representing Mitsubishi, with a big investor into CARRO. I guess you're betting on the marketplace for used car. As you were saying, Southeast Asia is really a nascent market. We're talking about, I was just reading this morning on the Financial Times that in Southeast Asia, there is only 86 countries for 1,000 people, whereas you got 600 of them in US. So that gives you an immense growth opportunity for this market, and maybe also that's why companies like GOJEK has been also successful, is that this, the car sector is extremely nascent. So if you could give us more insight on how CARRO wants to differentiate compared to the competitor in the market, how have you been adapting to get to answer to the new needs of clients, specifically in Southeast Asia, which again is a really new market about car ownership. So I would like to hear about your feeling about that.
Yeah, thank you. So actually, Mitsubishi also invests in GOJEK as well, although we're a small investor. The bank itself is much bigger. In CARRO's case, actually, because I think most of the listeners might be from Europe, there are some issues that I would just like to let you know as conditions that there's a big difference within Europe and Southeast Asia within the countries. For example, in Europe, when you say a used car marketplace, you might imagine like, I don't know, Auto One is one of the big used car marketplaces that are successful there, but they're very good in arbitraging the price difference within countries in Europe. So they can buy, I don't know, a white Toyota in Belgium in 5 and sell it in Germany like in 7 or 7.5. In case of Southeast Asia, unfortunately, there is a lot of import tax, and used car transactions within the country doesn't happen so much. So most of the transactions are done internally. So it's a domestic movement of the transactions itself. So this is a big difference within Europe and Southeast Asia, just for reference. And going to your question, Paul, so I think one is the differentiation of CARRO. I think GOJEK is like an ecosystem surrounding the customer of the logistics itself. They can provide you everything. You can sit at home, you have food, you have everything, a massage, they provide you everything. In case of CARRO, we want to we're a platform first, and we want to provide an ecosystem surrounding the car. So the image is that GOJEK might be surrounding a human being, but in our case, it's around the car. So when you imagine about a car, you would say like, I want a new car. You can come to us. I want the finance. You can come to us. We provide the finance. You want an insurance. We are the only ones in Southeast Asia providing a user behavior insurance, which is different from usual auto insurance, which I will explain later on. So you want after sales after buying the car. And this whole ecosystem doesn't happen so daily like GOJEK. People eat 3 times a day, but people don't buy the car 3 days a day. So it's much less the stickiness compared to like GOJEK. But in our case, like after sales, it might happen, I don't know, 1 or 2 times, 3 times per year. But buying a car, it's more like, still, it's a luxurious moment for people in Southeast Asia, which happens, I don't know, once in 3 to 5 years. And as you mentioned, the used car market has been increasing. The CAGR, the annual growth, it was said that it was like 20%, but it really depends on the statistics. But the market size itself is like 4 million. When we say Indonesia 1 million, Thailand 1 million, Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, and Vietnam. When you say US itself is just like 40 million, so it's like 10 times bigger than Southeast Asia. But the growth here is more than 5 times. So people will buy more used cars. And the annual, so the revenue of the people is still lower compared to US. Of course, we can forget about Singapore, but like Indonesia and Thailand. So people would need always finance. And what we're completely different with other used car marketplaces or a used car dealer is that we can provide a finance. And also the pain point of the use of the end users, the user experience difference is that even in Japan, when we want to buy a car, you have to have all these signs of the sales and purchase agreement. You have to bring in your, like in Japan, they have this, instead of a signature, you use still like a, I don't know how you would call, like a stamp with your name written on it, which is super old, traditional. You have to also go to sign your like auto loan contracts and all that. It's a hassle and a headache and a pain in the ass. What we can do is that you can even buy online with us. You can just even sign online with us. However, people still want to kick the tire, so they come to see. But we would dissolve this pain in the future. So like in US, like Carvana, Vroom, Guaza in China, people can buy it online. You're searching for cars. If you like it, you say, I want to buy this. 3-4 hours later, the car is in front of your house. If you don't like it, you can, send it back and we will refund it all. If it's like within a certain period. Right now, we're providing 3 days refund guarantee, but in US, we want to, like in US, it's like 7 days or something. So we would like to provide that as well. So yeah, I'm repeating it again, but the differentiation is that we are trying to provide a full stack service and changing the ownership of cars. So we are also prepared that people would stop owning and changing their mindsets. So we're also providing like a subscription of cars.
Yeah.
That I think it's, so I think we all have a different segment of business models. And also Dirk-Jan, he's in the car sharing. We don't do car sharing. We're more like a subscription, which is between like car sharing and rental car, and between like a leasing, which is like, between the period of these. And also that we would provide all like, you can get a new car and all the like after sales and that. So we are trying to provide this full stack service of everything, which might be a little bit hard to understand. But yeah, if you would like to know more about us, you can anytime search in Google, CARRO, Singapore, and there's all the service lineups that we can provide there.
Thank you, Kenji. And congratulations for the last round. I saw lately that you guys have raised 100 million. That's quite amazing.
Still very small compared to GOJEK.
Look, soon maybe a unicorn. I saw that lately 2 new unicorns came from the car marketplace. One in India and one in UK. So hopefully you're the next one. So Dirk-Jan, you're yet not close to a unicorn, but tell us a bit more. I think it would be interesting to understand how you see the car sharing market in ASEAN compared to much more mature market like US or Europe. We all know GetAround, Turo, or even Drivey in France, which we actually sold via idea to GetAround last year. But I think it's quite interesting that you give us a picture of how people see car sharing in Southeast Asia. You are right now seated in Australia. I guess it's for to opening also Australian market. Yeah, please give us your understanding of Southeast Asian market and how these past months has been for you guys.
I think it's as you say, it's in an infant stage. I would say there are a couple of companies that have started car sharing for a few years, and that could be in different ways. It could be fleet based, so companies that own a fleet of cars or maybe lease a fleet of cars for long term and then they rent out short term. But what has happened in the last couple of years, and especially with first Uber, Grab, GOJEK, they have paved the way in a way for people to start thinking about sharing a ride at first. And the next thing is maybe sharing a car and renting out your car. And that is what is happening right now. And we see there is great adoption. Obviously, it is when you have a new type of concept in a market, then there are, let's say, the Straits Times or newspapers, they want to write about it. And of course, that gives a bit of extra acceleration to your growth and awareness. We still have a very long way to go. But what I can say is that we are definitely what Kenji was just referring to is, and actually we want to do the same thing as what Kenji just shared on let's say moving away from car ownership in a way. We also want to provide that, and we want to offer flexible supply of cars. We can basically meet demand of mobility. Let's say for self-drive, you can do it with much less cars than there are right now. And so one of the things that we do is very much offer that flexible supply. We currently do that together with amongst others with Grab to offer flexible supply. So one of the things is that for example in that space of ride hailing, we've seen that demand has dropped significantly in the beginning, right? When COVID just hit. And what you see is that drivers, a lot of drivers for Grab or GOJEK, they are renting cars for a long term. And if demand is not there, then they have a problem, right? Because they have a car, they need to pay for that car on a monthly basis, but there is no demand, so they can never pay it. So what we have seen on our platform is a bit of an increase also in drivers that are driving, because they want to rent maybe a car for a couple of hours or for a couple of days or weeks, and that's what we can supply. So that is one part where I think in this whole mobility ecosystem, that's where things could complement each other. That's one part. Maybe on the part with CARRO, and so we actually have also agreed with CARRO that it will happen only after Chinese New Year, by the way. But that, let's say, for the cars that they want to sell to other people, there is a period of time that the car is there and not sold, right? And during that period of time, we can help them to rent it out and utilize the car better. That's basically what we are all about, on improving utilization of cars and improving basically the efficiency in that sense. And what we can offer to customers, and why adoption has been quite good in Singapore, is that compared to traditional rental companies, it is all just very transparent. The marketplace, very transparent what you're going to get. You can get cars much nearby than you have actually unlimited number of locations where you can get the car from, and also at a much more affordable rate. And I think those are the things that have driven adoption, and that's what we want to continue to grow. And as you just said at last, Paul, is right now I'm in Australia because we have launched the brand here as well. Actually, we use the brand DriveMate, but basically everything else is the same for the Australian market.
Well, that's great, and that's great to hear that actually COVID has been quite positive on your monthly growth. I think people here in Singapore has been more and more open to car sharing, and the adoption is there. Great. On my side, before to go to the Q&A, I would have a last question to Antoine. Is about the SuperApp ecosystem. Do you think a SuperApp could work in Western countries? That's I would say that would be my last question. Pure personal interest.
I mean, I think that the pain points are there, you know, I remember seeing a statistic, for instance, on retailers in France, where the last mile delivery is a huge pain point for them, right? So I think the pain point is there. I also think, you know, looking at the fintech startups in developed markets, that the payments and access to finance is a pain point also. I think that you know, so mobility is a pain point. Financial inclusion is to strengths of a pain point. So I think there are the pain points. The question around it'll depend on the markets. I think I don't think that the governments have as much appetite for on-demand super apps as developing markets, either because of their view on the precarity of the employment that represents. We disagree, but that would be one of them. Another would be the fact that, you know, in a lot of cases it's a red ocean and not a blue ocean type of approach. Remember GOJEK, you know, there was no transport in Jakarta, right? Fundamentally, there's no mass transit, no public transportation. So whereas you go to France, you've got taxis, you've got, you know, public transportation, you've got a lot of different things. So I you know, in summary, I hope it happens. I would love. I think there is a need. I hope governments come around to thinking about micro entrepreneurs as people who have a tremendous amount of personal responsibility and control over their lives. We'll see.
Okay, guys, thank you. I think it's great. Thanks a lot for those past 20 minutes. Very, very interesting feedback from your side. I think some people asked some question. Yeah. Here we go. Xavier, actually from VID, would like to ask to Antoine if he can comment on the recent news about GOJEK and Grab. So it might be a bit too early.
No, I cannot comment on any news between and GOJEK.
Yeah, I can imagine. Actually, Kenji and Dirk-Jan or Antoine, if you have any question to ask to yourself, don't hesitate. I think there is no other question yet listed.
No, I mean, I have a comment actually, because I think that Dirk-Jan and Kenji are both extremely relevant business models, right? I mean, I think, you know, the reality when you look at the GOJEK ecosystem, for instance, you know, what Dirk-Jan is doing is extremely relevant. A lot of people need to do long-term rentals in order to be able to have access to these assets to do it. You know, we have entered into long-term strategic relationships with people like Astra, for instance, in Indonesia, to be able to provide access to assets, right? Supply is critical for us. And I think, you know, what Kenji is doing is also, you know, I mean, how do you mutualize assets fundamentally? And how do you make the customer experience seamless? I think they're both extremely relevant, and I think that they're going to go gangbusters over the next 5 years.
Thank you. Let's see. We do our best.
Francois is asking, how do you see electrification EV vehicles in ASEAN, and how it could impact your business? I don't know who's willing to answer on that.
Sorry, how do you see when?
Electrification, like electrical vehicles, EV.
Okay, EV.
Okay, like from our side as a marketplace, I don't know if many people know, but an office, but they recently decided to establish an office in Singapore. For example, Dyson also wanted to make their huge factory in Singapore of EVs, but they stopped. There are some like EV car sharing companies as well here. But actually the infrastructure, well, in case of Singapore, because the country is very small, I think we can make some charges around. But when it comes to Indonesia, Thailand, of course, the EV will happen, but the penetration level cannot be so high like China or US, especially like China, where the government gives incentive a lot, and because it's linked to the infrastructure when it comes to charging EVs. We don't think it will happen, but definitely that day will come. And as CARRO, we also have like a Tesla, which there's also like below 20 in Singapore. We have some for subscription as well. The reason is because we believe that EV cars will penetrate. Maybe in case of GOJEK, it might be more like electric bikes, but it's better for the environment, and that they will come if the battery price will go down. So we believe that they will come. And what would affect us bigly in our case, I think that's a question, how it would impact. I think it's more like in the after sales side, because we're a marketplace, so it won't affect us so much, even the gasoline cars or hybrid cars becoming to EVs. But I think the after sales side would be impacted quite a lot, because all these mechanics that are used to repair engines and such will have to become more like electricians, who, especially like in Tesla case, it's like an iPhone, right? It will update without telling you anything. So these electricians needs and demand will explodely come suddenly. So that's a reason, as CARRO, whom we are providing after sales, we are also looking and also like considering of hiring more electricians or people who are capable to fix or repair these kind of EVs as well, like from China or from other countries as well. I don't know if this is an answer, but there would be an impact.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think maybe from our end, so for us, we are as a platform, whether people put electric vehicles on a platform or just petrol engines or anything on platform, we are both okay with it. What we do see is that we do have electric vehicles on the platform, and they are rented out more than others. We give a bit more discount on those if you want to rent them. And again, maybe for ride-hailing, it is used because people can use the car and they get the free charge for 350 kilometers. So that means people can drive for it. What we've seen in other parts of the world, and in the US, for example, is that platforms like CarSharing could help to let's say bring the brand to more people and reach more people. So if you have electric cars like Tesla earlier on a platform like Turo, then a lot of people want to experience it and want to use it. And so a platform like Drivela in that sense could also be a good test case for some OEMs in that sense to test out certain cars that either are hybrid or electric. And I think definitely there will be more electric cars. For us, what we can do is we can hopefully help to contribute to driving adoption faster.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll come. As Kenji said, it'll be motorcycles for us, for instance, first, right? I mean, the management of batteries on motorcycles and the capex of the motorcycles is a lot lower. I think what's interesting about EVs, and we're starting to see it with Tesla, is all the different possibilities it gives because of the software layer, right? You can start renting bikes per mile, right, as opposed to a month. Right, leasing. You can start. There's a whole payment aspect of the rental piece, but also of the battery swapping piece. So I think that it's an interesting piece to the ecosystems, to our ecosystems. Obviously, there are a lot of cost related issues. Users in developing markets are still very cost sensitive. Can you create a separate type of ride, which is a Go EV or something, maybe? The other is that government and government regulations also start coming into play. So things to consider.
Thank you, Antoine. Just a last question to you, actually, from Vinod. We'll go fast because we're almost close to the end. Antoine, what does GOJEK see as a path to profitability?
I mean, I think all of our products have a path to profitability. You know, but fundamentally, you have to think about the consumers, right? How much, you know, what's the average revenue per user, and the frequency of service, the retention rate, and all that is a key component. And so, you know, and then so how do you then leverage your fixed costs? You know, utilize your fixed costs. You need to have a lot of volume and eventually some kind of pricing pressure. I will also say that, you know, a lot of software firms globally are profitable also due to either advertising related tech or financial related tech, right? And GOJEK is entering both of those types of technology also.
Great. I think we are running out of time. Thanks a lot, Antoine, Kenji, and Dirk-Jan. It was a great pleasure to have you today, and thanks a lot for giving some insights about the mobility sector in ASEAN in these troublesome times. Thanks again, and see you soon. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.